Good morning students. Today we are going to study chemistry for class 8 and this is video number 2 for the second chapter, physical and chemical changes. Today we will be talking about chemical changes. In the last video I told you, for classifying a substance into physical or chemical change, you just have to ask one question. Is there a new substance formed after the reaction? If the answer is yes, then that is a chemical change. If the answer is no, then that reaction is a physical change. Okay. So a chemical change, it is a permanent change in which the original substance loses its composition and properties. During this reaction, one or more new substances are formed with new composition and properties. Let us see the definition once more. A chemical change is a permanent change in which the original substance loses its own composition and properties. During this change, one or more new substance is formed. Let us understand this. A chemical change is a permanent change. Permanent means it is an irreversible change. Irreversible means we cannot get back the reactants. By mixing the products, we cannot get back to the reactants. Okay, that means it cannot be reversed. Now let us proceed further. It says in which the original substance loses its composition and properties. That means the reactants are going to lose their composition and properties. We'll understand with one example. You know the water, the formula is H2O. You already know this one. That means it is formed by the combination of hydrogen and oxygen. If you mix hydrogen gas and oxygen gas, then you will get water, isn't it? But hydrogen and oxygen both are gases, and what is formed after the mixing or after the reaction is water, that is in liquid form, isn't it? Water, you see, it is very different from the constituent elements hydrogen and oxygen. Oxygen is a supporter of combustion, but water is used to put out fire, isn't it? So you see the properties are completely or drastically changed. Hydrogen and oxygen are not able to show their properties in the product that is water. Okay, did you understand how the composition and the properties changes? That means the original substance will not be able to show its composition and properties. And then it says one or more new substance is formed. Of course, if the original substance is not there, it is losing its composition and properties. One new thing or one or more new substance will be produced. In the example that I just told you, water is the new substance that is produced. We can understand with one more example, burning of a piece of paper. When we burn paper, the products that we get are carbon dioxide, water, ash and smoke. In fact, when we burn anything, carbon dioxide and water vapor are always produced. Along with that, some other byproducts can be produced. Here ash is produced and smoke is produced. So you see what happens? A new substance, in fact 4 new substances are formed. Nothing was there in the beginning. We only had a piece of paper. From that we got 4 new things. We got carbon dioxide, we got water vapor, we got ash and we got smoke. And do you think it is possible to get back that piece of paper? If you combine all the 4 components, are you going to get back and cool them down? We heated that piece of paper, you reverse the condition, cool them down, the 4 things. Will you be getting the piece of paper? Of course not. Chemical change is a permanent change. Alright. We can see a few more examples. Digestion of food. The digestion of food takes place in our body also. When we eat food, it is digested in the digestive system. Our body produces so many enzymes and it takes out the required nutrients from that. And that only we utilize for building our body or for growth. You study about all this in detail in biology. Okay, but you should know that digestion of food is a chemical change. Then ripening of fruits. The fruits they ripen, and that ripened fruits only we buy from the market, isn't it? Then burning of candle. Burning of candle is very interesting. Burning of candle involves both the changes, physical change also and chemical change also. If I know everybody must have seen a candle burning. When it burns, the wax burns and produces carbon dioxide and water. Actually, that candle, it is made up of hydrocarbon. And when hydrocarbons they burn, they produce only carbon dioxide and water when they are completely burnt. So that is a chemical change. How that we can understand that new things are formed, carbon dioxide and water, new components are formed, and that is an irreversible change. That means from that carbon dioxide and water, if we mix them, we cannot get back the candle, isn't it? But one more thing is happening. We see when the candle is burning, the wax that melts and it flows down, and then when down it goes, when it gets the cool surface, then it solidifies, isn't it? That means a change of state is taking place. That means first the candle burns, solid changes to liquid, liquid flows down, and again it changes to solid. So that change of state, or we can say the melting of wax, that is a physical change. Understood? So when a candle burns, both the changes are happening simultaneously. Because of burning of the candle, it is a chemical change. Because of the change of state of wax, or because of melting of wax, it is a physical change. Alright? Then rotting of eggs is a chemical change. Fermentation. Fermentation, it is the anaerobic oxidation or anaerobic respiration. Mostly it takes place in bacteria and other that lower organisms it happens. In fact, in our body also in extreme cases anaerobic respiration takes place. But about all this you will study in detail in biology. Okay, but you should know fermentation is a chemical change. Then rusting of iron, you know iron it rusts. Rust means because of the presence of moisture and oxygen, reddish brown coating is formed that deteriorates iron, that decreases its quality. So that that iron, it is not that useful afterwards, but we know it is a chemical change and we cannot get back iron from that rust. Okay. Then the next is burning of a piece of magnesium. This example we had seen. If you remember in the law of conservation of mass, that magnesium plus oxygen, they combine to form magnesium oxide. That means a new substance is formed and it is an irreversible change. Now we'll proceed with the characteristics of chemical change. Let us see the first point. One or more new substances are formed with composition and properties different from the original substance. I hope this point is clear, that whenever a chemical change happens or a chemical reaction takes place, one or more new substances are formed and their composition and properties are completely different from the reactants. Alright. Second one, the change is permanent and irreversible. That is also clear. That means that change cannot be reversed. From the products, by mixing them, by changing their conditions, we cannot get back the reactants. It is a permanent change, or we can say it is an irreversible change. Alright. Then energy change is generally involved in a chemical change. That means a large amount of energy change happens during a chemical change. Either the energy is absorbed or the energy will be evolved. For that, two terms are there. One is endothermic and the other is exothermic. And we will take the first, endothermic. Endo means to absorb. A chemical reaction that proceeds with the absorption of heat energy is called endothermic. Okay, what is an endothermic reaction? That proceeds with the absorption of heat energy. That is endothermic reaction. The example we can take here is photosynthesis. You know, photosynthesis takes place in plants. It is the process by which they prepare their food. In that, they trap the sunlight with the help of chlorophyll, and that sunlight or heat energy is converted to glucose and the food that we take in. So we see that is a chemical change and in that the heat energy is absorbed. Second one is exothermic. Exo means to give out light, to give out energy. So in an exothermic reaction, heat energy will be given out. The examples we can see is the burning of anything, burning of fuels, like if you are going to burn wood, then it will give a large amount of heat energy. Burning of a piece of paper also gives out much amount of heat and light energy both. Okay. Then the mass of the substance undergoing a chemical change is generally altered. Altered means change. Whatever mass we started with, we will not get the same mass. The mass is changed. Let us take one example. If we burn, suppose 10 grams of paper if we are burning, at the end what we get, what ashes we get, they will not weigh 10 grams. They will weigh around 2 or 3 grams. So we see the mass is changed. But then a question may come to your mind that teacher, in the first chapter you told about the law of conservation of mass that says the mass of the reactants is equal to the mass of products. So what is happening? Is this chemical change violating that law of conservation of mass? No, it is not so. Actually, in this case, we are not taking in account the gaseous products. I told you in the beginning that when a piece of paper burns, along with ashes, it gives out carbon dioxide, water vapor and smoke. They also have got some mass. So if we collect everything, all the products, all the four products, that is carbon dioxide, water vapor, ashes and that smoke, if we collect and weigh, it is going to weigh again the same 10 grams. That means mass of reactants will be equal to mass of products. The law of conservation of mass is not going to be violated. Only we have to take care that all the reactants and products are taken in account. Alright. Okay students, we have completed chemical changes. Now we'll proceed with the energy changes involved in reactions. I already told you both in physical and chemical changes, some energy change is there. And that energy change may be in the form of heat, light, sound or any other form of energy. They may be absorbed or it may be evolved. But the important point here is the energy change during a chemical change is much more than in comparison to physical changes. Okay, in physical changes also energy change is there, but it is less or small in comparison to chemical changes. We will first see the energy changes in a physical change. So whenever there is a physical change, there is some change in energy, and the two main components or the two main changes that are included in physical changes are the change of state and the second one, dissolution of a substance in a liquid. We have studied in detail about the changes of state in the first chapter matter. So if you have forgotten, you can just see that video again and recall. Here also I will tell you in brief. So whenever there is a change of state, suppose if solid changes to liquid, we have to supply energy. That energy will be absorbed by the molecules. It will be converted to kinetic energy. So the intermolecular space increases. The intermolecular force of attraction decreases. The molecules, they move far apart. And a point comes where that solid is finally converted to liquid. On continued heating, what will happen? The molecules will get even more energy, they will move even more farther away, the intermolecular space increases more, intermolecular force decreases and that liquid will be converted to gas. And for the reverse case to happen, the energy is to be given out or the energy is to be taken out or it has to be cooled. So when a gas is cooled, the molecules, they lose energy, they lose the kinetic energy, the molecules come closer, intermolecular space decreases, intermolecular force of attraction increases and the gas converts to liquid. And same thing if we continue cooling, that liquid will be converted to solid. So I hope you understood. So there you see what the important point is, always an energy change is there. Sometimes the energy may be absorbed and in other processes the energy may be evolved. Okay. Then the second one here is dissolution of a substance in a liquid. When any substance is dissolved in a liquid, the energy may be evolved or absorbed depending upon what we are mixing. What two substances are we mixing? Excuse me. Suppose if you are mixing salt and water, then on dissolving that we have to supply energy. See, you must have seen whenever you put salt in that glass of water, you have to stir it, and in stirring you are actually supplying energy, isn't it? So in that little very small amount of energy it absorbs. And in case of quicklime is calcium oxide, it reacts with water to give out energy. Okay, so we see on dissolution also the energy may be absorbed or evolved depending upon what two substances or what two things are we mixing. Alright. Now I've written a term catalyst. What is a catalyst? It is a substance that speeds up the rate of the reaction without participating in it. Once again I'll tell you, a catalyst is a substance that speeds up the rate of the reaction without participating in it. One example we'll take the Haber's process, where nitrogen combines with hydrogen to form ammonia. So you see, nitrogen plus hydrogen gives ammonia. This process, chemical process, is called Haber's process. And in this one, the catalyst used is iron, Fe. Okay, and what is the use of this catalyst? It speeds up the reaction. It will encourage nitrogen and hydrogen to react quickly and form ammonia. And whatever iron we took in the beginning of the reaction, the same iron we are going to get at the end. Suppose if we started with 10 grams of iron, after the reaction also we will be getting 10 grams of iron back. We will proceed further with the energy changes involved in a chemical change. During a chemical change, the rearrangement of atoms take place. New substances are formed, and how are they going to be formed? From the reactants. Whatever atoms are present in the reactants, they rearrange themselves to form products. One example we can see. This I told you in law of conservation mass also, it is applicable here as well. That when magnesium reacts with oxygen, it forms magnesium oxide. Here you see I have shown that symbolically 2 Mg atoms I have shown. Then one oxygen molecule. They react to give MgO. From here one Mg comes and here one O comes and it forms one molecule of MgO. From here one Mg comes and one O comes and here it forms one more molecule of MgO. This all I have told you to make you understand that during a chemical change, some bonds are broken and new bonds are formed. You see, here this bond has to be broken. Yes or no? Then only they will become free. So, this bond is broken here and one oxygen atom is taken by this Mg, one oxygen atom is taken by this Mg. During the breaking of bonds, energy is absorbed, and during the formation of bonds, energy is released. What happens? When the bonds are broken, energy is taken and absorbed, and in the formation, here bonds are formed also, here in their formation energy will be released. So we see so much energy change takes place during a chemical change. But what exactly it will be? Means it can be of two types. The chemical change may either absorb energy or it may give out energy. The absorption, the example I can tell you about photosynthesis. During photosynthesis, sunlight is absorbed and new substance glucose is formed at the end. And evolution of energy happens during the time of burning. If we burn anything, we are going to get heat and light, and that is the evolution of energy. Students, we have completed today's topics. In this video, we have covered chemical changes, characteristics of chemical change, and the energy change involved in physical and chemical changes. Now, I have some give reason type of questions for you as homework. Note it down. While sublimation of camphor is a physical change, the burning of a paper is a chemical change. Why? Why melting of wax is a physical change? Why? The burning of a piece of magnesium ribbon in air is a chemical change. Try to find the answers of these questions and write it in your fair copy. Along with this, we have also completed the second chapter. You can start writing the question answers in your copy from the notes that study material given to you people. And you are supposed to write short answers and long answers in the copy along with this homework. Okay? Thank you.